Good afternoon, all of you. I, Dr. Kirti Daheria, coordinator of this webinar, welcome you all. On the behalf of Danielson Degree College, Chinwada, I would like to welcome all the participants and our key speaker, Dr. S.K. Jain and Dr. Sonal Brown, Madam, to join us. Now, I would like to welcome Mrs. Smriti Habil, Honorable Principal, Danielson Degree College, Chinwada, and Dr. R.K. Srivastav, Coordinator, Convener of this webinar, and HOD Zoology Department. I am thankful to all of you for your virtual presence. Recent trends in environmental science and technology is the theme of this webinar. So, we all know that environment includes the living and non-living things that an organism interact with or has an effect on it. Our environment is spoiled due to inappropriate utilization and urbanization of natural resources and other such activities. So now, environment become one of the most concern area for researchers and for government also. Government introduced so much policies like Swachh Bharat, biodiversity conservation, environment conservation, wildlife conservation, pollution control to save our environment. And the researchers working in the field of environmental science readily engage in evaluating alternating energy system, pollution control, natural resource management, protecting biodiversity, water stress and waste management, because society is facing mounting challenges in meeting the demand for energy. The energy environment nexus is a complex problem requiring a multidisciplinary research approach for understanding how they are linked and how sustainable solution can be developed to ensure the continuous provision of these necessary resources for humanity. Environmental science and technology offers an integrated approach to deal with most of the branches of science, including biological, physical, chemical science, through knowledge generation, innovations, and advancement of technology. So, keeping these challenges in mind, we are organizing this webinar. We are organizing this webinar to provide a forum for researchers of all disciplines of science and technology to discuss about the most challenging issues in current scenario and to share their research finding, methodology advancement, innovative ideas to meet their goals. In this regard, I would like to invite our Honorable Principal, Mrs. Smriti Havil, for welcome speech.
To all and extend a very warm welcome on behalf of Danielson Degree College. I extend my hearty welcome to our key speakers, Dr. Subodh Kumar Jain, Head of the Department Zoology, Central University Sagar, and Dr. Sonal Brown, a consultant scientist in London. I also express my sincere gratitude towards both the speakers as they accepted our invitation so willingly in spite of their busy schedule and liabilities of their professions and families. At the same time, I feel very proud to inform you all that Dr. Sonal Brown, the key speaker, is an ex-student of Danielson Degree College. She has completed her BSc with mathematics from here. And as a head of the institute, I feel very honored, very happy when our alumni support us this way. Thank you, Sonal. As far as the subject of this webinar is concerned, someone has rightly said, commented, when we heal the earth, we heal ourselves. Now the environmental issues have become so crucial that it's not only the need of saving the earth, but rather of healing the earth, I think. Yes, it needs healing to be healed from the consequences of the selfish desires, intentions, and works of the humankind. I hope this webinar will give an insight into the recent trends in the field of science and technology that are working in favor of the environment. The college wishes that this webinar will create an ambience of research among scientists and scholars. So with this hope, I wish that this webinar will be beneficial to all the participants, and now I hand over this session to Dr. Kirti. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for your precious and motivated words. Your words and energy always motivating us. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Dr. R.K. Srivastava sir to introduce our second speaker, Dr. S.K. Jain.
Professor in Zoology, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur, Central University, Sagar. Dr. Subodh Kumar Jain has received 5 national awards. He is a professor in Zoology, member editorial board, National Academy of Science, Allahabad, and advisor, National Academy of Science, Bhopal. He was a founder coordinator of biotechnology and head of the department biotechnology from 2014 to 20. Director, College Development Council from 2016 to 19. He has 40 years of research experience and 204 research publications. He has 25 years research guidance experience. Under his supervision, 27 candidates have been awarded PhD degree, in which I am also one. He has completed 1 international and 10 national research projects. He has visited 7 foreign academies such as Italy, Poland, Hungary, Slovak Republic, etc. He has attended 10 international and 58 national seminars. He is an editor, Asian Journal of Experimental Biology, and reviewer of many international and national journals. He was a member of the Executive Committee of Indian Science Congress, Kolkata, from 2011 to 19. He has a life membership in Indian Science Congress, Kolkata, Indian Society of Cell Biology, Indian Academy of Neuroscience, Zoological Society of India, Indian Society of Life Sciences, Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Delhi, and Youth Hostel Association of India, New Delhi. I hope that the presence of such a great personality in international webinar will be very useful for all participants. Now, I request to Dr. Subodh Kumar Jain to deliver his lecture at international webinar. Thanks.
Okay, Professor R.K. Srivastava ji. So, Professor Smriti Hebel, Principal of Danielson Degree College. Professor Rakesh Srivastava, my friend since very, very long time. My dear Dr. Sonal, I could not see her here. Dr. Sonal Brown, I know her since her childhood. Member of the organizing committee, Dr. Kirti Daheria, Mrs. Swati Jain, Mr. Nikhil Makode. I'm really very happy that Danielson Degree College is organizing an international seminar. Actually, I remember the time, say 26 years back, when Professor M.K. Rai of Danielson Degree College, Department of Botany, he organized a workshop on herbal medicine in 1994, and I was one of the speaker. So I am now speaking in the seminar of the college after 26 years. And for that, I am grateful to Professor Rakesh Srivastava. And since Dr. Srivastava wanted me to speak on some science and technology, and I decided to speak about the present problem. And therefore, I selected the topic. I'm sharing my slides, right? Okay. So slides, can you see the slide?
Yes, sir, your slide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now your slide is visible, sir.
Right. Thank you. So,
Thank you, sir.
well, I'm very sorry for this disturbance.
No, sir. It's okay.
So, is it now more clear?
Yes, clear. It is clear.
Okay, right, fine. So, the topic I have selected for presentation here is alcohol abuse, HPA axis, and genetic polymorphism. Actually, Professor Rakesh Srivastava also told me that better if I speak in Hindi also. So I will use both the languages so that each and every participant can understand. Now, what is alcohol? So alcohol, it is ethanol. And the more common names you have heard, that is beer and wine. They are fermented drink with water and ethanol with flavor. And in these drinks, alcohol concentration is 5 to 11%. They are fermented, not distilled. While whiskey, gin, and vodka, they are distilled alcohol, and they can be altered to create liquor. And in these, alcohol concentration is 40 to 50%. Now, alcohol abuse and alcoholism represent substantial problem that affect a large portion of individuals throughout the world. More than 200 diseases and injury reported are caused by alcohol consumption, and alcoholism has been increased by about 55% between 1992 and 2012. There are short and long-term effects of alcohol, and in US, 80% of college students experiment with alcohol, and this result into increased risk of accidental injury, lower education attainment, risky sexual behavior, and more monetary risk. Actually, why I have chosen this topic for today's deliberation, because this is in India, not only in India, throughout the world, this is the tremendous problem that alcohol is being experimented by young generation. The chances of contracting sexually transmitted disease, unplanned pregnancy, violence, risky driving is greatly increased when a person is under the influence of alcohol. Drinking and driving. Alcohol increase reaction time and therefore reduce a person's ability to judge the distance, speed, and turns, risking the life of persons. Gambling disorder. Actually, I'm working with a scientist, Tony Bushnell from US, and the recent study is showing that alcohol abuse affect HPA axis. I'm coming to what is HPA axis and diurnal cortisol dynamics. This leads to increased monetary risk. Here I wish to say that when a person consumes alcohol, he take more risk of expending money. And as far as long term is concerned, the effects are hepatitis, then liver cirrhosis, and ultimately hepatocarcinoma, and most of the time the person leads to death. During pregnancy, if alcohol is consumed, it can lead to many birth effects such as low birth weight, deformation, developmental difficulties, mental impairment, and even death. HPA axis regulation. This is very, very common and popular term nowadays. Alcohol use stimulates hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. This is called HPA, and causes stress-like cortisol response. These are the references. They are the pioneer scientists working in the field of diurnal cortisol dynamics. Abnormal stress physiology is related to greater addiction severity, craving, and poor treatment outcome alcohol use disorder. Alcohol abuse alter HPA axis regulation, and that leads to abnormal diurnal cortisol dynamics that result into abnormal behavior and severe alcohol abuse disorder. Now, here you can see, देखिए यदि किसी भी तरीके का स्ट्रेस को हम फेस करते हैं तो सबसे पहले ये आता है ब्रेन में, ब्रेन के हाइपोथैलेमस में। हाइपोथैलेमस पिट्यूटरी का जस्ट अपर पार्ट है, और हाइपोथैलेमस में दो न्यूक्लियस हैं, आई मीन सेल्स, ग्रुप ऑफ सेल्स है। वन इज कॉल्ड PVN, paraventricular nucleus. Another is SON, that is supraoptical nucleus. And these two, SON and PVN, actually they provide CRH, corticosterone releasing hormone, and this affect anterior pituitary. And under the influence CRH, anterior pituitary provide ACTH. This is adrenocorticotropin hormone. And when this hormone goes to adrenal cortex, it gives cortisol. And these cortisol are secreted by the middle part of the adrenal cortex. They are glucocorticoids, and they control and regulate carbohydrate metabolism, and which ultimately affect the metabolism of the body. There will be more stress, there will be more stimulation, there will be more stimulated SON and PVN, and they give more this hormone, more this hormone, more this hormone, and ultimately what happens? The diurnal cortisol dynamics is disturbed, and this affects so many things in the body, including gambling disorder, including risky sexual behavior, including accidental road accidental injury, etc., etc. नॉर्मली होता ये है, आपको मैं कहूं कि जो कार्टिसोल है उसका बड़ा एक स्टैंडर्ड ग्राफ है। इसमें कहीं होगा तो मैं आपको बताता हूं कि जब हम सोकर उठते हैं सुबह करीब 6 बजे के आसपास, उस वक्त जो कार्टिसोल का लेवल है वो होता है मैक्सिमम। उसके 3 से 4 घंटे बाद यानी 10 बजे 11 बजे के करीब ये अपने लोअर लेवल पर आ जाता है और उसके पूरे समय पूरे दिन यानी सोने के वक्त तक इसका लोअर लेवल हमारे बॉडी में मेंटेन रहता है। और अगर बॉडी स्ट्रेसफुल है, हम स्ट्रेसफुल हैं, तो जो डायर्नल कार्टिसोल डायनेमिक्स है दैट चेंजेस, यानी जो लेवल स्टेडी बना रहता है पूरे दिन वो क्या हो जाता है, कम ज्यादा कम ज्यादा कम ज्यादा होता है। इससे ये देखने में आता है कि इस तरीके का जो बिहेवियर है वो स्ट्रेस्ड जो पर्सन होगा उसके बॉडी में कार्टिसोल देखने से पता चल जाएगा कि ये आदमी बहुत स्ट्रेस में है और उससे क्या होगा, उससे फिर अल्कोहल का कंजम्पशन बढ़ जाता है। दिस इज study since last say 10 to 15 years. Actually, I am also working little bit in this field, and that's why I have chosen this topic. So, this is state-wise alcohol consumption per capita per week in India. Here, you can see these are the type of liquor. These are the states. Madhya Pradesh, you can see 100 no, it's not. Madhya Pradesh, yes. So you can see Madhya Pradesh. So here again you can see that people are consuming lot of alcohol. Now the fate of alcohol after consumption. When alcohol is consumed, it is absorbed into the blood from stomach and intestine. Then it goes to liver, where enzymes begin to metabolize it, right? So what happens when ethanol is absorbed from stomach and small intestine to liver and liver cell in hepatocytes? What happens? ADH hormone, alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme, not hormone. This enzyme actually break down the ethanol into acetaldehyde. This activity takes place in the cytoplasm of the cells of the liver. And in mitochondria, this acetaldehyde is broken further with ALDH. This is acetaldehyde dehydrogenase, ALDH, and this breaks the acetaldehyde into acetate, and ultimately this acetate is broken down into carbon dioxide and water. There are some other pathways. Some gives energy, some leads to the synthesis of cholesterol, etc., etc. So they give multiple effect to the cell, to the body, to the metabolism of the body, to the physiology of the body, to the behavior of the body. So alcohol is metabolized in the body by various mechanisms, that is oxidative. Mainly it is oxidative, involving ADH, alcohol dehydrogenase, ALDH, aldehyde dehydrogenase, cytochrome P450, and catalase, which either add oxygen or remove hydrogen. And another rare pathway, that is non-oxidative pathways, and this takes place in smaller cell organelle. Here again you can see that ethanol under the influence of enzyme ADH converted into acetaldehyde, and under the influence of ALDH2 it is converted into acetate, and this acetate comes into the circulation, metabolized again, converted into carbon dioxide and water. And in microsome and peroxisome, you can see catalase work in peroxisome, where the hydrogen peroxide is converted into water, and if it reaches to microsome, then the CYP cytochrome P2E1 enzyme release water. एसिटल्डिहाइड, एक बात मैं आपको कहूं कि जो लोग शराब पीते हैं उनका सब लोगों पर एक जैसा असर नहीं होगा. अगर एडीएच एंजाइम ठीक है तो एल्कोहल टूटकर एसिटल्डिहाइड में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा, और अगर एएलडीएच नॉर्मल नहीं है तो क्या होगा, तो एसिटल्डिहाइड एक्युमुलेट हो जाएगा, ब्लड में एक्युमुलेट होगा, पहले लिवर में एक्युमुलेट हो जाएगा, फिर वो सर्कुलेशन में आएगा, और उससे क्या होगा, उससे देखिए फेशियल फ्लशिंग. आप कुछ लोगों को, शराब पीने वालों को देख सकते हो कि जो फेस है वो इस तरीके से हो जाता है, काफी इसमें जो पेरिफेरल ब्लड है वो देख सकता है, और फ्लशिंग हो जाती है. दिस इज व्हाट, दिस इज एक्चुअली द accumulation of acetaldehyde. And why it is so? Because the enzyme ALDH is not proper in the body of that person. So this will be very, very harmful if such type of person still consume alcohol, right? So I mean to say that consumption of alcohol is fine, but it will give different effect in different body depending upon the activity of ADH and ALDH, of course little bit affected by catalase and cytochrome P. Acetaldehyde combines with neurotransmitter dopamine and form cell-solinol, and this cause alcohol dependence and also form DNA addict. Here you can see ethanol broken down into acetaldehyde, and this acetaldehyde with dopamine can form cell-solinol, and this cause dependence. मतलब अब जो आदमी शराब पीने लगता है, इस सेल-सोलिनॉल की वजह से अब क्या होगा, उसको लगेगा अब तो रोज ही दारू मिल जाए, तब वो मजे से रहता है. This is because of this brain activity. Now the acetate, this is also byproduct of alcohol, and oxidation of acetaldehyde produce acetate, which is later oxidized to carbon dioxide in heart, brain and skeletal muscle. Acetate is also metabolized to acetyl coenzyme A, which is involved in cholesterol biosynthesis in mitochondria of peripheral and brain tissue. This acetate, if not further broken down, then what happens? This acetate causes depression in the central nervous system and also affect various metabolic processes. So here directly you can see that how byproduct of alcohol is responsible for causing depression. And when there is depression, I have already told you that HPA axis will get disturbed and cortisol dynamics will also get disturbed, and this person will be under stress. Ethanol, non-oxidatively, it happens when there is no sufficient oxygen. Then what will happen? There are many free radicals will be produced, and they will harm the lipid bilayer of plasma membrane of the cell, and ultimately it leads to tissue injury. Now, the genetics of alcoholic metabolism, this is very, very important point. I have already told you about two enzymes, ADH, ALDH. यहाँ पर जो सुनने वाले हैं, कुछ यूजी पीजी के बच्चे भी हैं क्या?
Yes sir, UG नहीं है, only PG.
पीजी स्टूडेंट है, ओके. तो मैं आपको ये कहना चाहता हूं कि जो आपको ऑलरेडी मालूम है, मैं थोड़ा सा रिवाइज करा दूं, वो ये कि दिस इज द एंजाइम अल्कोहल डिहाइड्रोजिनेज एंजाइम. ऑल एंजाइम्स आर प्रोटीन्स, ये तो आप जानते ही हैं. एंड फॉर पॉलीपेप्टाइड चेन सीक्वेंस ऑफ अमाइनो एसिड, हु इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल? द सीक्वेंस ऑफ न्यूक्लियोटाइड. You understand? So a particular gene is responsible for the synthesis of particular enzyme. So if in a particular gene, for example, a gene responsible for synthesizing ADH, there is some disturbance in the nucleotide sequence, then what will happen? The product, in this case, ADH, will not be a proper enzyme, and this will not affect normally. What will happen? The alcohol breakdown will not be proper. What will happen? Abnormal byproducts will get accumulated in the liver. They will come into the circulation. They will be distributed in all of the tissue and cause so many disturbances. Similarly, this ALDH, this is aldehyde dehydrogenase. Same picture. If the gene responsible for synthesizing this enzyme, what will happen? If there is some polymorphism, when I say polymorphism, means if there is change in the sequence of nucleotides, then what will happen? The sequence of amino acid will change. What will happen? Aldehyde dehydrogenase enzyme will not be a normal enzyme. Its functioning will not be the normal. What will happen? Alcohol will break down. If ADH is normal, then what will happen? Acetaldehyde will get accumulated and flushing phase, so many behavioral changes, cellsurinol will be formed, and this will cause so many structural and functional changes in the body. So both enzymes have several forms. Actually, ALDH 1, 2, 3. I have written a few articles on these enzymes, so you can go through. It is freely available on internet. You can see a book published last year only from London by Intech Open, and in genetic polymorphism, I have written all these things in details, and they are freely available. You can go through those articles. So both the enzymes have several forms encoded by different genes. Enzymes with different characteristics having different ethnic distribution are because of variant of the gene. आप देखिए, हो सकता है सिमिलर जो शराब है वो इंडिया के किसी पर्टिकुलर प्लेस में पीना नॉर्मल हो, लेकिन ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि इन एंजाइम के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल जीन में पॉलीमॉर्फिज्म हो सकता है वो कोई हमारे भारत का दूसरा क्षेत्र हो, तो वही शराब का जो असर है वो दूसरा हो जाएगा, क्योंकि जो एथनिसिटी है उसमें जेनेटिक पॉलीमॉर्फिज्म देखने में आती है. इस बारे में मैंने थोड़ा बहुत काम किया है. आप मेरे नाम से मेरे रिसर्च पेपर देख सकते हैं जिसमें हमने जेनेटिक पॉलीमॉर्फिज्म में काम किया है, और आप उसको देख सकते हैं. उसके बारे में कभी आपको लगे तो मुझसे बात भी कर सकते हैं. Since these enzyme variants work efficiently than others, suggesting some people can metabolize alcohol more quickly and vice versa also. For example, a fast ADH enzyme or a slow ALDH enzyme may increase acetaldehyde level, and this result into deleterious health effect, including alcohol dependence and the other effect about which I have already discussed in earlier slides. Genetic polymorphism of these enzymes, actually this is written what I have already told you. Again, I have already told you about the genetic polymorphism in ALDH or aldehyde dehydrogenase, and this enzyme actually break down the acetaldehyde, the first byproduct of alcohol. Similarly, cytochrome P450. This is, if polymorphism is there, then there will be possibility of tissue damage. Individual with this genotype and have a history of heavy cigarette smoking were at increased risk for gastric cardiac cancer. Actually, अगर किसी की हैबिट हो कि वो शराब भी पीता है और साथ साथ सिगरेट भी पीता है, तो उसमें एक तो पॉलीमॉर्फिज्म की गुंजाइश बढ़ जाती है और इस वजह से एबनॉर्मल बाई प्रोडक्ट लिवर में और सर्कुलेशन में इकट्ठा होने की पॉसिबिलिटी बढ़ जाती है और उनके इफेक्ट अल्टीमेटली जेनेटिक लेवल पर होने की पॉसिबिलिटी भी बढ़ जाती है और इससे रिस्क जो बॉडी के लिए है वो बढ़ जाता है. कैटालिस्ट, सेम थिंग. Now, this is perhaps the last but one slide. So, just 2-3 days back in Morena, Madhya Pradesh, about 25 people died of consuming poisonous alcohol. And when we say Desi Daru, it is country liquor. And in this actually contamination of methanol, sometimes isopropyl alcohol is there, and that is very, very poisonous. So sometimes they mix in larger quantity in the alcohol and sell in the market. So actually methanol immediately affect the optic nerve, and this leads to blindness. And when it is absorbed from stomach and small intestine, reaches to liver, it very, very quickly damage the liver, and that is the cause of the death. So these incidents are experienced very frequently, and actually this is the government agencies who need to stop all these things. And now, therefore, this is the last slide, take-home message that alcohol consumption is injurious to health. And thank you very much. Now, I will be happy if you have any question or query.
Excuse me, sir. Can I ask a question? Hello.
Oh, sure, please.
Sir, actually, I belong to rural area. I am working here at DDC College as assistant professor in economics. मेरे एरिया में क्या होता है सर? It's a tribal area actually, but generally everyone consumes महुआ wine. लेकिन उनको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती सर.
प्लीज एक बार आप थोड़ा सा क्लियरली पूछ लेंगे.
सर मैं एक रूरल एरिया से बिलोंग करता हूँ, इससे ट्राइबल एरिया जहाँ लगभग मुझे लगता है कि 95% लोग महुआ की जो दारू बनती है उसको कंज्यूम करते हैं. बट दे डोंट फेस एनी काइंड ऑफ इफेक्ट. उनको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती.
एक्चुअली जो कंटेमिनेशन है
जी,
वो बाहर से क्रिएट किया जाता है दहरिया साहब
जी,
है ना. जो लोग खुद शराब बना लेते हैं वो पी लेते हैं. सौभाग्य से उनके जो एंजाइम सिस्टम है जिनकी मैं बात कर रहा था
जी,
है ना, वो नॉर्मल है.
ओके,
ठीक है, तो उनको इफेक्ट नहीं होगा. वो जिस मजे के लिए पी रहे हैं वो मजा उनको आता रहेगा.
जी,
ठीक है ना.
थैंक यू.
हाँ. और जिनके लिए जिनके बॉडी में ये एंजाइम नॉर्मल नहीं है उनके इफेक्ट उनके बॉडी पर दिख जाते हैं. मैं करीब 10-12 साल से फील्ड में काम कर रहा हूँ.
जी, ओके.
यस, एनी अदर क्वेश्चन प्लीज. कीर्ति श्रीवास्तव.
नमस्कार सर.
हाउ आर यू कीर्ति?
बहुत ही अच्छा लगा सर आपको सुनकर, इतने बिल्कुल
Good,
याद
good,
आ गई
good,
जैसे
good.
आपकी क्लास अटेंड कर।
Nice to see you. Nice to see you after a long time.
बहुत लंबे बाद, सही बात है सर, और इतना अच्छा लगा आपको सुनकर के, और हम
अभी
के
आप कहाँ पर हैं,
फेवरेट
बच्ची?
आप। और इसने बिल्कुल पहचान को अच्छा लगा। और सर कैसे हैं, सब बढ़िया?
मैं ठीक हूँ.
हेलो।
Nice, very nice to see you. और कोई क्वेश्चन होगा प्लीज? मैं एक्चुअली कहीं अभी मैंने ब्राउन साहब को भी देखा था. अगर वो मुझे सुन रहे हो तो मैडम को और सर को मेरा नमस्कार.
Namaskar, Dr. Subodh Jain. It was very well planned and very good lecture. जनरल भी था और टेक्निकल भी था. पर ये है कि is there some antidote?
Yes, sir.
जिससे कि अब उनको लोगों को प्रोत्साहित कर सके प्रिवेंशन के लिए.
मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, ये जो सर जेनेटिक पॉलीमॉर्फिज्म है, इस फील्ड में जो काम है सर पहले बहुत हुआ नहीं. अभी कुछ लैब कर रहे हैं. मैं भी पिछले 10-12 साल से इस फील्ड में काम कर रहा हूँ सर. इसके कुछ एंटीडोट निकलेंगे. आई होप कि इस फील्ड में भी जो लोग ये इसको सुन रहे हैं लेक्चर को, वो अपने रिसर्च में इसको शामिल करेंगे.
वेरी गुड.
आपको सर देखकर और मैडम को देख के सर मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा.
वी आर हैप्पी. बहुत हमको खुशी हो रही है. आप लोग यू आर डूइंग सच ए गुड वर्क.
सोनल दिख रही है मेरा ख्याल है.
सोनल भी है.
हाउ आर यू? गुड.
नमस्ते.
Nice to see you.
So I'm thankful to Dr. Subodh Jain sir for joining us and delivering such informative and valuable research knowledge, his research outcome. So this is the time to now I would like to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Sonal Brown. Dr. Sonal Brown completed her PhD in condensed matter physics from Indian Institute of Technology, New Delhi. After completing her PhD, she worked as postdoctoral fellow at University of USA. She was awarded by Ramsay Fellowship at University College London. Ramsay Fellowship considered one of the most prestigious fellowship for early career chemists. Her research interest in investigation of noble materials, including nanomaterials, during her more than 15 years experience as a scientist and researchers, she has carried out experiments at some of the world's leading material science laboratories, including Los Alamos National Laboratory, USA, birthplace of atomic bomb. She has published more than 25 research papers in internationally reputed journals and has given more than 20 international and national invited talks. Now, I would like to request Dr. Sonal Brown to join us. Please, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank you,
everybody for inviting me. आप सभी को नमस्कार. मैं लंदन से बोल रही हूँ और बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है कि आप लोगों के सबके सामने में हूँ और इतने सालों बाद डेनियल्सन कॉलेज में बच्चों से कनेक्ट कर पा रही हूँ. मैं स्पेशली अपने दिन याद कर रही थी कि मैं 1997 में पास आउट हूँ. तो सुबोध अंकल जी ने जैसा बोला कि आपने जब नेक्स्ट आपकी इनवाइटेड टॉक दी थी तब मैं उस कॉलेज में थी. और मैं याद कर रही हूँ जो केमिस्ट्री के टीचर्स थे, चंडोक सर, फिजिक्स की टीचर भागव मैडम और शर्मा मैडम, जिनने मुझे बहुत वाद विवाद में हेल्प की थी. और आज मैं विशेषकर धन्यवाद देती हूँ आप लोगों को. राकेश मेरे उससे अंकल ही निकलेगा. राकेश अंकल एंड आदिल मैडम को कि मुझे आपने इनवाइट किया, मुझे याद किया. और मैं बहुत खुश महसूस कर रही हूँ कि मैं आप लोगों के बीच में हूँ, और स्पेशली यंग बच्चों को कि बता सकते हैं कि आप छोटी सी जगह से निकल के, मैं हिंदी मीडियम से पढ़ी हूँ और मैं आज जो भी कर रही हूँ उसमें मुझे बहुत प्राउड है कि मैं डेनियल्सन कॉलेज से निकली और डेनियल्सन कॉलेज ने मुझे अपॉर्चुनिटीज दिया कि मैं इतनी दूर तक पहुंच पाई हूँ। तो आप छोटी सी जगह से भी निकल के बहुत बड़े बड़े काम कर सकते हैं। तो मैं शुरू करूंगी। आज मेरे को टॉपिक जो दिया है वो क्लाइमेट चेंज से रिलेटेड था। तो आई होप यू गाइस कैन सी द प्रेजेंटेशन।
हाँ, अब आया।
Yes, ma'am.
सो आज की जो टॉक मैं देने जा रही हूँ आप लोगों को, दैट इज much more related to the work I have been doing in nanoscience, and एक जनरल ओवरव्यू देना चाहती हूँ कि how we can solve big problems of the world using these small things. So we are trying to think big, solve big problems like climate change or pollution or the big challenging problems of the world, and while we are working with very, very tiny small things. तो बिफोर गोइंग टू नैनो साइंस, एक्चुअली मैं थोड़ा सा वक्त दूंगी आप लोगों का कि क्लाइमेट चेंज क्या है और क्यों इतना उसमें अटेंशन हो रहा है। हम सभी बात करते हैं क्लाइमेट चेंज की कि 1 डिग्री बढ़ रहा है टेम्परेचर, क्या बढ़ रहा है, क्यों बढ़ रहा है। अगर एवरीडे लाइफ में हम देखें तो हमारा टेम्परेचर वैसे ही बढ़ता रहता है, कभी 35 होता है, कभी 40 होता है। सो थोड़ा सा मैं बताना चाहूंगी कि क्यों ये 1 डिग्री चेंज इज सो मच इम्पोर्टेंट। तो उसमें जाने से पहले लाइफ अर्थ में है क्यों। हम एक ब्लेसेड प्लैनेट हैं जहां पर हमारा परफेक्ट डिस्टेंस है अर्थ से, प्लस वी हैव अ परफेक्ट एटमॉस्फेयर। सो हमारी सनलाइट आती है, सम ऑफ दैट इज रिफ्लेक्टेड, some of that is absorbed, and we have this perfect ecosystem. So some of these gases which we say bad, the greenhouse gases, because of these our atmosphere is warm, we can live. If we didn't have these greenhouse gases, actually the temperature will be very, very cold, like it is in moon. So in daytime the moon temperature is like our temperature, 8 to 20 degrees centigrades, but if there is no sunlight, it reaches minus 18 degrees centigrades. So that's why these greenhouses are very important. They keep our atmosphere, our earth warm. So they are not bad. We have the perfect balance between the sun coming in and these greenhouses capturing and harvesting actually this infrared radiations. That's why we have the ambient temperature to live in. But what's been happening in the recent years is that we have, because of our industrial activities, because of our modern day of living, we have changed this balance. The whole balance has gone. So the sunlight coming is the constant, but we have more greenhouses. So these greenhouses are taking up more heat. They are taking, and the earth is warming. So this is just a graph to show that how in the years the Earth's temperature has been changing. And this is the increase what we are expecting. So if we see that, so this is the average temperature anomaly that is taken to see what is the temperature change every year. And this data is taken from NASA. So if we can see that like from 1940 onwards, it has been like exponentially increasing. And we are at this 1 centigrade now. Scientists say if we cross this 1.5 centigrade limit, the temperature, the earth is going to change drastically. So just to give a context, why this 1% change is so much important, you know? And this 1% change is not happening in one concentrated area, let's say like not only in India, but it's happening everywhere. So this is the graph that is showing. So it's the temperature differences, average temperature differences. So you have like blue spots, those are cooler areas, and you have yellow spots, those are hot areas. So this is 1980. You can see there are lots of cooler spots. You know? And if we go to 1970s, the situation is still better. I mean, it's the similar year when I was born. So you can see there are some yellow spots developing. So we have warmer, we have industrial action going on, we have carbon dioxide, more carbon dioxide. But if we come now, you can see the difference. Like this is the range we are talking about, that climate change is real. It's something that is really real, that now the whole earth has warmed. So this 1 degree centigrade, the average 1 degree centigrade, it's all over the world. There are only few cooler spots remaining. And this is one of the very worrying signs that all over the earth, we are expecting this, we are experiencing this hotter climates. And another way to give this 1 degree a context is the last time when we had this climate disaster, the scientists have calculated that the temperature has changed, the average temperature that we are seeing, this 1 degree centigrade, that changed from 4 degrees to 7 degrees. So that's when the dinosaurs were there. So that's why it is very important to work on the climate change issues. And it's a global problem, and various range of scientists have been working. And one of the reasons of this global warming is actually the most important is carbon dioxide. So this graph shows the zero is taken from 1950. And if we see, this is like in BC's carbon dioxide levels I'm showing, and these are the years. So in BC's, this line was never caused in so many years. In hundreds and thousands of years, this line of 300 parts per million carbon dioxide. But currently, what we are seeing after 1950 is that the carbon dioxide is increasing exponentially. And this problem of climate change, there are so many Twitter saying that, no, it's not real, or things in social media. But as a scientist, I want to say that it is an unprecedented problem. We use unprecedented word these days in terms of कि आपका virus है. It is unprecedented, but the change we are seeing in the earth temperature is really an unprecedented, and it's a real problem. So how we can go about changing, how we can help. So मेरा काम रहा है नैनो साइंस से, और मैं उसमें आपको बताना चाहती हूँ कि थोड़े स्निपेट्स की हाउ वी कैन, छोटी चीजों से हाउ वी कैन सॉल्व दीज बिग प्रॉब्लम्स. सो क्या है ये नैनो साइंस? इतना बज़ वर्ड है कि नैनो साइंस है, नैनो साइंस है. क्या है नैनो साइंस, एंड क्यों पढ़ना चाहिए, और क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं लोग इसे? सो नैनो साइंस इज एक्चुअली, it's a very, so it's 1 billionth. Nano means 1 billionth of a meter. अगर आप ह्यूमन का हेयर लें और उसको काटें, तो अगर आप उसको एक हेयर को इमेजिन करिए, आप अपना हेयर लीजिए और उसको अगर आप 100,000 टाइम्स काट देते हैं, तो दैट इज व्हाट इज नैनो साइंस. सो वी आर टॉकिंग वेरी स्मॉल. अगर आप ह्यूमन हेयर को एक भी कोई छोटा कण काटेंगे तो ह्यूमन आई से नहीं देख सकते हैं. तो ये नैनो साइंस बहुत ही छोटा है. आप डीएनए मॉलिक्यूल्स की रेंज में है. तो जो ये 10 नैनोमीटर से 100 नैनोमीटर, 1 नैनोमीटर, these are the nanometer scales where we work in. So chemists synthesize, and I have been studying these materials. So one of the such example is carbon nanotube, जिसका diameter है, आप देखिए कितना छोटा है. It's 5 nanometer diameter. तो IUPAC की nomenclature के हिसाब से nanomaterial is a material that has at least one dimension. So it could be length, width is less than 100 nanometers. अब इसको एक कॉन्टेक्स्ट में फिर से मैं देती हूँ कि आप क्या है ये, कितना छोटा है ये. तो डीएनए आपका होता है 2.5 नैनोमीटर्स. हेयर का मैंने आपको बताया कि 100,000 टाइम्स छोटा है इससे. और अगर आप नॉर्मल चीजें जो हम देखते हैं, जो हम सोचते हैं कि पतली है, छोटी है, पेपर कितना थिक है, वो 75,000 नैनोमीटर थिक है. So what I want to say in this slide is that nanometer is really, really small. We cannot see with eyes. That's why one of the why this nanotechnology has been developed in past 20 years, because now we have ways to see it. Otherwise, when such things are so small, how can you see those things? So what's the point? Why do we study? Okay, the things are small. So what? You know, I have my 2-year-old son. He says, I want to be big. I want to be big. So क्यों study करें? You know, क्यों ये छोटी चीजों पे हम study करें? So हमारे जैसे, मेरे जैसे ऐसे कई साइंटिस्ट हैं जो दुनिया भर में लगे हुए हैं, जो ये छोटी छोटी चीजों को अंडरस्टैंड करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. ये मेरे डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स हैं जहां मैंने काम किया है, स्पेन में, यूएसए में और लंदन में. And this is me performing some low temperature experiments. So क्यों नैनो इंटरेस्टिंग है? क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं हम लोग साइंटिस्ट? नैनो रेंज में जब हम जाते हैं तो one of the most important thing is that properties of a nano material changes totally. So बल्क काउंटर पार्ट से नैनो काउंटर पार्ट की प्रॉपर्टीज टोटली डिफरेंट रहती हैं, दिखती हैं. तो सिंपल सा एग्जांपल मैं आपको देना चाहती हूँ कि क्या है ये प्रॉपर्टी. अगर हम आपके गोल्ड रिंग आपने सबने पहनी होगी या कुछ ना कुछ गोल्ड का होगा, अगर हम इसको छोटा छोटा काटें तो आप क्या सोचेंगे कि इसकी मैकेनिकल प्रॉपर्टी या कंडक्टिंग प्रॉपर्टी चेंज होगी? नहीं होंगी. But अगर हम इसको और छोटा, if we go into the nano scale, what happens is that as we change the size, so these are the bigger particle sizes, as we go to the smaller and smaller sizes, the optical property, how it optical properties changes basically. So this is a new phenomenon that we don't see in a bulk, in a normal everyday science, that something, if you change the size of the particle, the properties of that material changes. So that is what attracts us, that these size dependent properties, we can tailor a material based on its properties. So let's say if we have to make a solar cell, we can actually tune which band gap we can have and which material can we have. So just go a little bit into deeper. So if we take these, I have taken like all these nanomaterial sizes, different, So I have 100 nanometer particles. These are, some of them are silver, gold, But if we go to the gold particles, they're basically that as we go lower and lower, this color changes, you can see. Right? And for physicists out there, it's basically because of phonon confinements. So you see a different effects, a band gap changes, and these tailored properties. So we can tailor basically. So I can tailor the band gap depending on the size of the particle. So when we use such material to make any applications, you have a tailored based material that we can actually manipulate the properties by changing the size. So that is what is one of the interesting aspects of nanoscience. And another thing is, let's say like if we take a graphite, it's a bulk material, you have that graphite in your pencil, and if we know the graphite is very brittle, a graphite agar aap pencil se likh rahe hain to uski nib aapki toot sakti hai ना. बट इसको अगर हम डिफरेंट तरह से रोल कर दें तो यू गेट कार्बन नैनो ट्यूब्स, और डिफरेंट तरह से रोल कर दें तो यू गेट फुलरीन. सो ये ग्रेफाइट और कार्बन नैनो ट्यूब में जाने से क्या डिफरेंस हुआ? ग्रेफाइट ब्रिटल है, कार्बन नैनो ट्यूब 100 times stronger than steel है. So in this example, what I want to show is that chemically, like they are all have C, chemically, they can be similar, chemicals they have just carbon, they are allotrope of carbons, but structure properties can be very different. So if you roll carbon nanotube in a different way, it will give you a different property. And such, so there is one way, like I told you, we can change the size of the particle. The next way is you can roll these particles into different ways, you know. So, and these nanotubes, another thing is these nanotubes are very elastic. So you can stretch them, you can really stretch them, you can bend them. So it's like if we imagine steel, it's material that is not bendable, like it's not malleable, you know, at room temperature I'm talking about. So these materials are unique properties which don't exist usually in the bulk materials, in any materials that that can have at room temperature. So at room temperature, nanotube is flexible but very strong. So it's very hard to break it. And if we roll it, if we go a little bit further into, this is for much more for the scientists who are listening, that if we go into much more into detail, we can actually roll them. Like, so here I'm trying to roll them into these red dots. And if we roll them according to this, it is a metal. But if you roll according to this, the black dots with a different angles, obviously, you have a metal. So the morphology, like how you structure these materials, gives you a different property. So size gives you different property, then how you roll it, the morphology gives you a different property. So really, one of the home message I would like to take from this talk for all of you is that this nanotechnology we can really design a material based on size and shape, and we can tailor its properties. That's what attracts me. And this is much more for like why we see these unusual properties. In normal, this I have taken a chocolate, and if we break it down, we have much more bulk material, and the surface is very little, you know, and that is for any material. And when but what happens when you have nanomaterials, you know? So let's imagine if we have taken a cube, 20 centimeter by 20 centimeter by 20 centimeter, and if we divide it by 8, so now the surface area has increased. You can see, so the surface area changes 2 times. But if we divide it much more, now the surface area has changed to almost 8 times larger. And if we can keep on going like that, and now the surface area has increased to 16 times. But what actually happens if we go to the nano range? That's where so you have 10 million times surface area. Why this surface area is so important? Because for any reaction, if you can, like normal chemist can understand that if you have more surface area, that particular compound will be much more reactive. So what I'm talking here is you have the same material, same mass, same volume, but the surface area has changed. So this better high surface to volume ratio we can utilize in solar cells. We can utilize in cleaning the sea, जहाँ पर oil गिर जाता है, वहाँ पर अगर आपको oil को अगर decompose करना है, because nanomaterials are so reactive, they will react and decompose things. So based on these size effects and these surface effects, we can design better solar cell, we can design better catalytic activities. That's what has been exciting me. And now I am going to tell you, this is something that I want the students to think about, you know, that why, based on what I have said about the surface area, the gold example that I have given, the gold melts at 1000 degrees centigrade, almost 1064 degrees centigrade, but nano gold melts at 300 degrees centigrade. And this is also due to the large surface area of the nanomaterials. So what I have been working on, this is just a snapshot, and why I am giving you this is these are some of my papers, and you can see that there are lots of institutions. So nanoscience is not a discipline, it's a platform. You work with mechanical engineers, you work with chemical engineers, you work with chemists, you work with theoretical physicists, and then you bring about what is going on with these nanomaterials. So I would like to suggest anybody working in the nanoscience, please don't research alone. You really need collaborations, active collaborations with different fields. Then only we can design, we can manipulate, and then we can bring these particles, this nanotechnology actually to applications. So some of my research, what I have been doing is actually very general. I want to say that like this aligned, it is a nanotube. So what we did with a Japanese collaborator is we aligned this. Somehow we aligned these nanotubes. And these were unaligned, so they were hodgepodge. And once you align this nanotube, what happens is you see a different optical response. No? So the optical. So one of my interests has been to understand the physics, and I have worked in understanding this physics of these materials. So now we have the third thing, right? Like we have the size, we have the morphology, and also how this alignment of these materials. So you can have angle, you can have crisscross material, and you can really tailor the properties of these materials. And this is one of my interesting papers actually that I want to show you. Is I have worked with the C60 molecules. Normally, what happens if we heat up a compound? I would like to ask any student if they can tell me what happens. What happens to the lattice constant or the length? Anybody, any student, if they want to say what happens if we heat a material to the lattice constant? So I don't want to go in the teaching mode, but yes. So if we normally heat a material, basically what happens is that it elongates, you know. So length बढ़ जाती है. ये सब हमने अपने normal जिंदगी में महसूस किया हुआ है. So lattice constant increases, the chemical bond length increases. But when you are talking about such nanomaterial, nanoscales, these rules are different. They are totally different compared to what we have experienced. So this is just a small highlight that what can happen when you go to nanoscale. So this is at room temperature, and when we now I'm cooling it down. And I'm talking about liquid nitrogen, liquid helium. So the experiments I have done is minus 268 degrees centigrades. Yeah. So we are going very low temperatures, closer to zero, and checking the properties of these nanomaterials. So what happens, even if we go a little bit zero, below minus 70 degrees, below the liquid nitrogen temperatures, these balls become larger. That is unusual because when they usually shrink, you know. So, and the same, like if we had another compound that you had krypton, inert gas, one atom of krypton inside it, we call it endohedral fullerene. The same thing, we tested it out for a different compound, the same thing happened. You have a larger ball. So one of my research paper, like we discussed, and the same thing, like if you apply pressure, then again you have a bigger ball, you know. So the rules of the game are changed. That's what excites me, that you don't experience the normal rules, the gravity, the normal rules that you see in everyday life, that changes. That's what is so much exciting about nanoscience, that you experience different things that you don't see. Now I'm going to give another example that how I have worked on different materials and how we can like see different properties based on morphology. So I have given you example of graphite, yeah, carbon nanotube. You can have carbon nanotube, and this is the fullerene, and these are just the 2D. I have just artistic image of that. But we do have the inorganic materials. So you have tungsten disulfide, which has similar structure to this. Yeah, this is the bulk tungsten disulfide, and it has similar layer structure to graphite. Then what we studied was this inorganic nanotubes. So you have tungsten disulfide nanotubes. These are similar to carbon nanotubes. And then one of our scientists in Israel, he managed to make, and he's one of the pioneer actually, if you want to study more of these inorganic fullerenes, this onion-like, he's Reshef Tene, I really admire him. He's up for next Nobel Prize. But we studied these compounds. So what are these? These are actually, we call these nano onions. So you are talking like 10 nanometer. So these nano onions are very small. And where these compounds are used, usually these tungsten disulfide is used as a lubricant. So when we studied the physics of it, we found that these nano onions have 10 times better lubricant properties. I won't go much into detail that what is the physics because it's complex, but that's what happens once we change from bulk to nano and also to the different shapes that you experience different properties and then you can make better. So this material actually, it's in Israel as a nano lubricant and people are using it for different commercial applications. So one way, like we can have lots of different properties and because to solve these global issues, we need to have a process of this material discovery. We cannot just study like how I studied earlier that, that we are studying single compounds because of this unprecedented climate change and because of this unprecedented issues. We have to actually do this in a high throughput. We have to, so what in my UCL work, I just want to show us a snapshot that what we have been doing is synthesizing lots of material by tailoring small. So what we did was we had these three compounds and we are changing them in 10% decrease, 10% decrease. So I'm doping more here and yttrium oxides. So it is 100% yttrium and then there is cerium here. And you can see that there are different phases of this. And nano size also changes, So then as a physicist's point of view, what happens? So these are the compounds we have synthesized. And if we can somehow do the analysis of this quickly and find out which is the good material for any application. So this is the new way actually to make lots of materials and you control their size, shape, doping, morphology, and you check it. That which, so you graph it out, you map it out and you see which material can be used for which application. So if you are trying to tailor let's say a solar material, solar cell, you can see which material has a better band gap, or which material is more heat sensitive. So this is the new way of actually doing the synthesis and characterizing and also investigation. And this is the work I have been doing at UCL. And the next new, which I want to excite you with this for the new generation, that this is the work which is really going on, is then to apply this, all this data to the machine learning. So the machine, AI can tell us that what is the best product. Once we do all these experiments, here I'm doing all the experiments manually, analyzing manually, but the next, what is the most exciting bit is machine learning. That machine, if we give some data to machine, it can learn it, it can understand the rules, and it can tell us this is the best material. So this is where the science is heading, to the machine applying these computational methods to chemistry, physics, to nanotechnology. So that is why I call nanotechnology as a platform that biologists can study it, chemists can study it, physicists can study it, computational scientists can study it. So now let's go back to that problem of global warming. So we had this unprecedented, we have this carbon dioxide, unprecedented, change. What can we do, And what we have to do actually. So in EU, there is a set limit that EU has set limit that we have to reduce. EU is European Union has set a limit that we have to reduce carbon emission by 1/5 and we have to decline it by 2050. That is a very challenging task. If we have to live in this planet, this is what we have to do. And this is the minimum. After 2050, you have to go into carbon neutral and below. So we have to make more renewable energy. And plus another challenging bit is we have to reduce the cost of this technology. So if we see at the moment what is happening in our world, this is the picture of energy, total energy supply of the world. This is in 2017. So you have more oil. We are still at 2017, we are still dependent on our fossil fuels. We are still dependent on non-renewable energy sources. And where do these renewable energy sources come? They're only playing 1.8%. So as a scientist, I'm really disappointed. We are doing a lot of work, but still there are lots of challenges. That's why you people who are listening, we need you, young boys and girls, to come into science. There are big issues to solve in the science. And we need we need chemists, biology people, and lots of people to actually make cost-effective, efficient, and reliable energy sources. So at the moment, nanotechnology has been used in various ways. So you can have a better solar cell. We have been working on, better energy storage. You might have heard about the lithium-ion batteries. One of my colleagues, whom I have worked with, good enough, he has got a Nobel Prize last year or so on lithium-ion batteries. So there is a lot of work going on and lots of applications are already there. But the challenges, this is another, lots of this, I'm just trying to show that the lithium-ion batteries hold the future of, actually storing power for longer time. Because if you make the solar cell also or anything, you have to store that energy, And one problem actually, so this is, I have left intentionally. This is one problem with solar energy. What's that problem? That you have night, yeah? So somehow you have to try and store this energy to better batteries, better ways to, save it. But there are challenges. Why we are not seeing so much drastic improvement when we have so many better materials? Nanoscience is a very new science. It's developed just in over, when I graduated from Danielson College, it has got Nobel Prize, and in 20 years, it has gone to such lengths. And there are other challenges. The cost of material, the cost of the research is too high. Then there are synthetically lots of challenges that you don't have uniformity. You cannot have, for solar cell efficiencies, you need a uniform layer of thin film layer. So there are lots of challenges that we need to tackle if we have to really tackle these big problems. And one of these is this also, the lot of work is going on, is carbon capture. So let's say if we can't make these many and we are not able to reduce, so can we somehow capture this carbon? And this is the artist view, that how we can actually, the scientists in the lab actually have made such chemicals, So what we are trying to do as a scientist is capture this carbon dioxide. And so you capture this carbon dioxide, and then if you heat up these materials with solar energy, you actually get a green fuel. And in these lab conditions, we can get it. But the problem is that carbon dioxide we are tackling in tons, and this we are talking in millimoles. So that's where the challenge lies, that we have to scale up our science, our technology, that we can tackle such climate change big issues. But I believe that nanoscience has the potential, with the AI and artificial included, that we can really make such tailored materials. One aspect I want to go into is this is a new science. And one thing as a mother, as a woman, I'm really concerned about is the toxicological hazards. That these new materials, we don't know the toxicity. And आप एक सिंपल, मैं एक सनस्क्रीन का एग्जांपल यहाँ पर देना चाहती हूँ कि जैसे अभी रिसेंटली एक्चुअली हवाई में ये हुआ है कि कोरल रीफ का डिस्ट्रप्शन इनने देखा, और ये सनस्क्रीन में बहुत यूजुअल मटेरियल्स होते हैं, ऑक्सीबेंजीन, बेंजोन। इसकी स्टडी में पाया गया कि कोरल रीफ को ये डिस्टर्ब कर रहा है, एंड हवाई ने इसको बैन कर दिया है। बट दीज आर बल्क मटेरियल्स। वी और अभी हमारे मार्केट में ऐसी कई नैनो स्क्रीन्स हैं हमारे पास। अभी इंडिया में मैं देख रही थी कि आपके पास एंटीबैक्टीरियल स्प्रेज हैं, आपके पास टूथपेस्ट है, बट एज अ साइंटिस्ट आई एम रियली वरीड दैट हम इसकी टॉक्सिसिटी नहीं जानते हैं, और इसका हमारे स्किन पे, इस पे, हमारा एनवायरनमेंट पे क्या फर्क होगा। ये जो ऑक्सीबेंजीन है ये बहुत ओल्ड केमिकल्स हैं, बट उसकी अभी हम स्टडी करके पता लगा पा रहे हैं कि कोरल रीफ डाई हो रही है इस केमिकल के कारण। बट इनका ये जो हम एवरीडे यूज कर रहे हैं, ये जब हमारे पानी में जाएंगी, जब ये हमारे शरीर में जाएंगी, कि जैसे मैंने आपको शुरू में बताया कि बहुत रिएक्टिव है, तो अगर हम इसको इनहेल करेंगे, वन थिंग आई एम रियली वरीड अबाउट इज दीज एंटीबैक्टीरियल स्प्रेज दैट आई हैव सीन इन इंडिया, कि अगर हम इनको इनहेल करेंगे तो ये हमारे शरीर के अंदर जा रहे हैं, ये हमारे शरीर में आपके सेल से कैसे रिएक्ट कर रहे हैं, ये क्या कर रहे हैं, ये सब पे बहुत रिसर्च चल रही है, और ये बहुत ग्रोइंग फील्ड है। सो फॉर बायोलॉजिस्ट आई वुड सजेस्ट लाइक look into this aspect. We can have, like, even for Chhindwara, small scale projects that you can do is assess the chemicals in your water, how and what are the then implications to the living organisms, you know. So that is one field I'm really worried about. But other than that, the nanoscience really has like the capability to take us to the next level. You know? But we all have to do our part, that we all have to check our carbon footprint. Everything that we do, everything we use, including from our plastics to our cars, to everything. We all have a small part to play, and we have caused this global warming. And I believe that with our effort, with global effort, we can have solutions. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot for the talk. And this is what I have created, a LinkedIn page. If anybody wants to connect with me, it's Aspiring Scientist in India. So I can connect with you for more questions or anything. Thank you very much. Thank you, Habil Madam and Rakesh Uncle for inviting me. Thanks a lot. So any questions if you have, yeah.
किसी पार्टिसिपेंट का कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो पूछ सकते हैं। गुड
Thank you, Uncle.
Hello, madam. Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Jitendra Kumar. I am working here as an assistant professor in economics at Danielson College, DDC. Madam, I have a question. India is a developing country still. In India, there is a huge poverty, right? So there is a problem. The development and growth. One side growth is happening, but another side there is a issue related to development. हमारा एक बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा इंडिया का जो अभी भी गरीब है, जिसको डेवलप होने के लिए, विकसित होने के लिए यहाँ के परिवारों को एनर्जी की जरूरत पड़ेगी, राइट? सो हाउ कंट्री लाइक इंडिया, हाउ इट कैन डील विद दिस काइंड ऑफ इशू?
Yeah, तो मैंने आप लोगों को बताया, I understood your question. So basically यही तो हम कर रहे हैं कि आपको अगर सोलर सेल, आप इंडिया में देखिए कि एनर्जी कितनी अपने पास अवेलेबल है। तो एक्चुअली मैं एक फैक्ट बताना चाहती हूँ कि एक घंटे में, जो एक दिन में, आई थिंक मैंने लिखा हुआ था कि एक दिन में आपकी, एक घंटे में जो आपकी एनर्जी आती है सोलर से, वो पूरे अर्थ को चला सकती है 1 ईयर, इतनी एनर्जी है। तो इसलिए ये बहुत जरूरी है। अगर हम सोलर एनर्जी, इंडिया में तो बहुत है ना, तो उसका परसेंटेज बढ़ाना पड़ेगा। और सोलर एनर्जी में चैलेंजेस क्या है कि एक्सपेंसिव है, तो उसके लिए ये बहुत जरूरी है कि मतलब हम उसकी कॉस्ट कम लाएं ताकि गरीब लोग भी एक्सपोर्ट कर पाएं और यूज कर पाएं। बट यही है कि हार्वेस्टिंग सोलर एनर्जी इज द वे टू गो।
थैंक यू सो मच। मैडम, ऐसा कोई मेजरमेंट है जो रीजनल स्तर पे हम इसको मेजर कर सकें, जैसे ग्लोबल वार्मिंग को?
आपके टेम्परेचर होते हैं राइट, लाइक एमपी में यू मस्ट बी गेटिंग टेम्परेचर, सो उसमें डेटा आप लेके यू कैन हैव एवरेज टेम्परेचर जैसे नासा ने बनाया हुआ है। एक्चुअली आई डोंट नो नासा अगर आपको लोकल लेवल पे एमपी लेवल पे दे पाएगा, बट देर आर ग्लोबल जो देते हैं वो, और हो सकता है आप शायद उससे ले पाए, या एमपी के टेम्परेचर जो मेजर कर रहे हैं एंड यू कैन हैव एवरेज टेम्परेचर मेजर कर सकते हैं।
तो क्या एवरेज टेम्परेचर कितना होना चाहिए, मतलब एक संतुलन के लिए, हाउ मच इट शुड बी?
अब ये तो पूरे अर्थ में ऐसा नहीं है, क्योंकि जैसे आप वहां बैठे हुए हैं, आज मेरे यहाँ पर है 1 डिग्री, है ना, आप लोग वहां बैठे हुए। हाँ
नहीं, वो क्वेश्चन नहीं है मेरा,
जी,
मतलब हमारे विकास के लिए एक एवरेज टेम्परेचर कितना होना चाहिए,
तो
एक नॉर्मल टेम्परेचर?
अर्थ का ये अर्थ का जो नॉर्मल टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज है, अभी जो आप लोगों का चल रहा है जो भी टेम्परेचर है, बस हमारा यही वो एफर्ट है कि इससे बढ़ना नहीं है। जो एवरेज ग्लोबल का टेम्परेचर है ना, उसको हमको बढ़ाना नहीं है, ठीक है। अभी जो है वो ऑप्टिमम है, इससे अगर 1 डिग्री बढ़ेगा तो हमारा वी कैन हैव लाइक ड्रास्टिक चेंजेस।
थैंक यू सो मच।
Hello, am I audible, ma'am?
हाँ,
Ma'am, I am Sonu Onikar, Assistant Professor in Department of Physics in DDC College. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful lecture. Actually, I'm just graduate in NIT Jaipur. एंड आपका जो लेक्चर था मुझे नैनो क्लासेस की याद दिला दी, क्योंकि मेरे नैनो साइंस एक सब्जेक्ट था। बहुत ही वंडरफुल आपने एक्सप्लेन किया मैम, एंड थैंक यू सो मच। एक्चुअली मैम मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि हाउ वी कनेक्टेड विद नैनो टेक्नोलॉजी, अगर हमें रिसर्च में इसमें आगे मुझे बढ़ना है, या एक्चुअली और एक और चीज़ मैम कि डीडीसी कॉलेज में पास्ट 2 ईयर से एमएससी स्टार्ट हुआ है, एंड एमएससी स्टूडेंट्स आल्सो कनेक्टेड विद nano technology. How can we improve and inspire by and connected with nano? Please inspire us.
आप लोग मतलब देखिए बहुत सारे तो रिसोर्सेज ऑनलाइन में अवेलेबल हैं, है ना, बट हैंड्स ऑन भी एक्टिविटीज हैं जो आपको मैं लिंक भेज सकती हूँ, कि जो आप लोग रूम टेम्परेचर पे कम एक्सपेरिमेंट्स पे कर सकते हैं। तो आप लोग देखिए अमेरिकन केमिकल सोसाइटी की बहुत सारे लिंक्स हैं जो एक्चुअली वो लोग हाई स्कूल के बच्चों को भी कराते हैं, एंड ये तो ऐसी छोटी स्केल पे जो आप मतलब कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि आई डोंट नो कि SEM और TM का आप लोग के पास नहीं होगा, तो बट ऐसी बहुत सारी हैंडआउट्स हैं स्टूडेंट्स के लिए जो आप देख सकते हैं। आई कैन सेंड यू द लिंक। जो लो स्केल पे कि आपके पास में हाई इक्विपमेंट नहीं है तो भी कर सकते हैं, बट जो एक चीज जो मैंने बोली वो ये है कि MSc के स्टूडेंट्स को मैं ये चाहूंगी कि MSc के स्टूडेंट्स के लिए मैं ये बोलना चाहूंगी स्पेशली कि आप अपने बेसिक्स ठीक रखिए, कि बैंड गैप क्या है, आप क्या होता है अगर डोपिंग कर देते हैं तो क्या होता है, क्वांटम इफेक्ट्स क्या हैं, क्या होता है अगर हम मेटल से सेमीकंडक्टर में जाते हैं। तो मेरा एफर्ट ये रहेगा मास्टर्स में आप बिल्कुल अच्छे से फिजिक्स जानिए। अगर फिजिक्स सीखना है तो बिल्कुल आपका सॉलिड होना चाहिए, क्योंकि मैंने देखा है जो भी बड़े साइंटिस्ट हैं, मतलब आप सोचिए कि मैं एक बहुत बड़ी लैब में थी और वहां पर हम लोग डिराइव कर रहे थे कि साइन कोसाइन की सीरीज कैसे निकाल सकते हैं। जब ऐसे ही बैठे रहते हैं चाय में तो भी हम ऐसी बेसिक प्रॉब्लम सोचते हैं। तो मैं कहूंगी आप लोगों को कि बड़ी बड़ी चीजों में जाने से पहले सबसे पहले चीज है कि अपना बेसिक बिल्कुल ठीक होना है। ठीक है, आपको फ्लेवर चाहिए नैनो टेक्नोलॉजी का तो बिल्कुल ठीक है, बट आपने जो पढ़ा है आपकी फिजिक्स, अगर आप सॉलिड स्टेट फिजिक्स में हो तो आपको ऐसे बात करते हुए आपकी मम्मी को आपको समझा देना चाहिए कि बैंड गैप क्या है ना, मेटल क्या है। तो ये मैं चाहूंगी आपके मास्टर स्टूडेंट से कि आपका बेसिक्स बिल्कुल ठीक रखो, ताकि आप रिसर्च में जब जा रहे हो तो आप आगे की बातें सोच पाए।
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I have one more question, ma'am. Actually, I want to research in nano material. This is nano semiconductor and nano transistor. मैम मैं कैसे रिसर्च स्टार्ट कर सकता हूँ अपनी, या फिर कहाँ से मैं कनेक्टेड हो सकता हूँ? एक्चुअली पीएचडी मुझे ज्वाइन करनी है इस एरिया में, कहाँ से मैं कनेक्ट कर सकता हूँ?
अब ये मैं आपको, आप मेरे को मैसेज करिए, इसलिए मैंने लिंक्डइन बनाया हुआ है ना। बिल्कुल मैं आपको गाइड कर दूंगी, और उसके स्टेप्स हैं एक्चुअली ये मैं जनरली मैं बोलना चाहूंगी कि अगर कोई भी रिसर्च में जाना चाहता है तो फर्स्ट थिंग इज, एक तो आपको बेसिक्स आपके बिल्कुल ठीक होने हैं ना। उसके बाद में आप देखिए आपको किस चीज में इंटरेस्ट है। शुरू में आपको पता भी नहीं होता है किस चीज में इंटरेस्ट है। मैं स्टार्ट हुई थी जस्ट अपने पैशन से कि कुछ सीखना है, कुछ करना है ना। तो एक ये होना चाहिए, क्योंकि रिसर्च फील्ड बहुत ही डिसहार्टनिंग है, कई सालों आपको कोई रिजल्ट नहीं आता है ना। दूसरा, आपको एक मेंटर बहुत अच्छा चाहिए ना, जो आपको गाइड कर पाए कि कहाँ जाएंगे आप, क्या करें ना। एंड देन यू नीड अ टेक्निकल मेंटर, कि आपकी सागर यूनिवर्सिटी में, आपके भोपाल में अगर आपको ऐसा कोई मिलता है जो आपको आगे के दिखा पाए। और आई एम हैप्पी, मेरे को आप ईमेल लिखिए या वो लिंक्डइन ग्रुप में आप लोग आइए, और मैं आप लोगों को हेल्प करने में बिल्कुल रहूंगी।
ओके, थैंक यू सो मच मैम, थैंक यू।
Any other question from the participants? So there is no question. Thank you, Sonal ma'am, for giving a very wonderful lecture. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. We are we are highly obliged to have you as a speaker. Now I am hand over the session to Ms. Iram Khan, madam, for delivering vote of thanks. Ma'am, please join us.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we have reached the end of this beautiful webinar. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is just like wrapping a gift and not giving it. Today, I miss Mrs. Iram Nida from English Department of Danielson Degree College takes the opportunity to put my gratitude into words. First of all, I would like to thank Almighty God for making today's webinar very successful. On behalf of the Danielson Degree College, I would like to extend my heartiest thanks to our Honorable Resource Person, Dr. S.K. Jain, Professor of Zoology, Department of Dr. Hari Singh Gaur, Central University, Sagar, for enlightening us with most inspiring and motivating words. You are an exemplary person and we have a lot of learn from you. Today's webinar was full of knowledge and interesting things. Now I would like to thank Dr. Sonal Brown, scientist and researcher from the University of London, taking out time from her busy schedule and lightening us with the knowledge. Now I would like to give my thanks to all guest participants for their participation. I would like to thank Principal of Danielson Degree College, Mrs. Smriti Habel ma'am, for giving permission to organize this webinar session. Our principal ma'am always encourage and motivate to organize such knowledgeable sessions. Now, I would like to thank Dr. R.K. Srivastava, sir, Head of the Department of Zoology Department of Danielson Degree College and convener of the seminar. Sir always encourage to all the professor and student to work with creativity and wisdom, and also share his valuable guidance with us. Next, I would like to thank Mrs. Swati Jain ma'am, Head of the Department of Chemistry from the organization committee. I would also thank Dr. Kriti Dehria, Head of Department of Microbiology. She is really coordinating the webinar very beautifully. Last but not the least, I would like to thank our multitasking and multi-talented Mr. Nikhil Makore, HOD of Maths and Computer Department, and our technical expert for his valuable technical support. Thank you all, everyone, once again for making it a successful webinar. Have a nice time.
Thank you. Sonal, thanks.
Congratulations, successful seminar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, uncle. Thank you, Rakesh uncle.
रिसोर्स पर्सन को, रेस्पेक्टेड ब्राउन सर, मैडम ब्राउन सर को, मैडम ब्राउन को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. थैंक्स.
शर्मा जी भी दिख रहे हैं.
वाई के शर्मा सर दिख रहे हैं.
भाई सेक्रेटरी आ रहे हैं.
मैडम स्मृति मैडम दिख रही हैं.
Thank you, Sonal. It was really a wonderful session, very knowledgeable, and the queries that were asked, that shows and proves it, that people took interest. And thank you, Brown sir and madam, for always cooperating with us. And thank you all my team for working well to organize the seminar. Thank you.